Okay, we are live streaming, so you can open up the meeting now.
All right, wonderful. Good morning, everybody. The time being 9:02, I will call this Coos County Area Transportation District Board of Directors meeting to order. Melissa, will you please call the roll?
Certainly. Director Thompson.
Here.
Director Vesey.
Here.
Director Johnson. Director Taylor.
Here.
Director Nelson.
Here.
Director Clausen.
Here.
Director Dovenspike.
Here.
And the advisory committee, Lauren Morris.
Here.
Cynthia Ramirez.
Here.
Michael Babcock. Michelle McIntyre. Richard Rogers.
Here.
Karen Dubasar.
Here.
And Jane Stebbins, can you hear us okay?
I can. I'm struggling a little bit with my technology this morning, but I am here.
Okay, awesome. Okay, this concludes roll call for the joint board of directors meeting with the advisory committee. We also have with us from the budget committee, Rayleigh Cousins, Tim Slater. Did I miss anyone? Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Our next item is item 3, changes to the agenda. Board, Melissa, do we have any changes to our agenda today? Our agenda
I have no changes.
Our agenda stands approved. Thank you so much. The board, that brings us to item 4, which is citizen comments on agenda items, limited to 3 minutes per person. Public comment in a meeting is a one-way communication where the public shares input on the record without expecting a dialogue or direct response. Do we have anybody here for a general public comment on an agenda item? Not on a budget item? Next, going once. Going to, I will read that during the. Okay. Yes, we will read that during the budget comments, but hearing nothing further, I'll close the public comment. The board, item 5 is our consent agenda, which has our February 9th board of directors minutes, the acceptance of our financial report and balance sheet for January 2026, a ridership report from 2026, and an approval of an inclement weather policy. Board, do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second on the approval of the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion, staff or board colleagues? Anybody? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you. Board, that brings us to item 6, which is old business, and I will pass it to Melissa. Thank you.
Thank you. So at the last meeting, we talked about resource diversification. And as a follow-up, I spoke with Julie Brown. Now, Julie Brown is very active. Not only does she run Rogue Valley Transportation District, but she has also been very active with the Community Transportation Association of America. So nationally, as well as she has also been active with the Oregon Transportation Commission. So both brings state and national perspective to public transit funding. She, number 1, recommended that we consider looking more broadly at resource diversification by putting out a request for proposals for a comprehensive strategic business plan. Which seems appropriate for us at this time since we'll be building this wonderful campus. And looking at what our strategic business plan is, I think seems to be a wise idea. And Julie also recommended that she could potentially come to one of our meetings and also give the board a primer from what she's hearing in the field to share with us. So with that, that's kind of the background, and I will leave it up to you to discuss whether or not we want to release a request for proposals for strategic planning services.
100% for it. Any type of funding, planning is a good idea.
Yeah, I'm 100% for it. The business plan just increases significantly our success. It's being able to do this, I believe. Without a plan, we wouldn't be near as successful. You know, all of our options. I'd love to have her come to the meeting too.
They've been very successful as well, so.
Mhm.
Any other discussion, comments? If not, I'd take a motion.
I move to release a request for a proposal for a strategic planning.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to release a request for a proposal for strategic planning. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Abstentions. The motion carries. Thank you, Melissa. Do you want to get us started on item 7A as well, please?
Certainly. So, writer surveys. So as we look at legislative session, and as we talked about at last meeting, doing some more public education, what critical piece of information that would be super helpful for us in pulling together those educational materials is more information about our ridership. And we can glean that additional information through writer surveys. And so I have attached to your agenda a survey instrument. And by engaging directly with the passengers during their journey, we can create an opportunity to capture real-time insights that can inform our decision-making and ultimately lead to improved services and operational efficiency. I'm hoping that the advisory board, supported potentially by the advisory committee, would be willing to ride the bus and help survey our ridership. What are people's thoughts?
I just know I was gonna volunteer to enter data into a spreadsheet because I saw that on there. But if anybody else has anything.
I'd be glad to do that and would enjoy it probably.
Sure.
I get volunteer to ride the bus and collect surveys. How many times are we talking about riding the bus?
You know, I think if we focused in on a couple days and take shifts, I think we could get a good number of folks covered.
So basically, you're gonna give them the survey manually? Or are you gonna have it on a laptop? How are you gonna do that?
Paper, we're gonna do it in paper.
Excellent. I like paper.
Mhm.
And we would sit and ask the questions or just sit with them while they check boxes?
I think what you would do is you would inquire if they've completed it already. And then if they have not, then hand off a clipboard with the survey on it, and then get it back, put the answered survey into a folder so that it's, private, and then keep going. It's just a matter of making sure that we're not getting same individuals answering it over and over again. Also being a good resource. So if they have questions, well, why are you doing this survey? What is it going to be used for? And answering those types of info questions, I think would be really helpful.
Thank you.
Bet.
Did you need any sort of action, Melissa, for that?
Was there one lead individual who would be willing to coordinate the effort?
Or in the bus. Yeah. Oh, God.
Was that Mike?
Bill,
Phil,
I'll take care of it.
Phil?
excellent.
You
Great,
can send me all that data and I will put it in a spreadsheet.
awesome.
When do you plan on starting this fine adventure?
I think we'll do it in April when maybe we'll have less rain.
I love your optimism.
April
There
showers
we
bring
go.
May flowers.
I was just thinking of that.
It's a Canadian term.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to everybody. Melissa, are you ready to move into the general manager's report?
Yes, and as we do that, can we revert back to the RFP? Are there a couple individuals who would be willing to, once we get the responses back from the RFP for strategic planning services, are there a couple individuals who would like to serve on reviewing those RFPs?
I will. Me and Mike. Me and Director Clausen.
Like I.
Okay,
Where you
awesome. Thank you. Okay, going into the general manager's report. So House Bill 4008. So it didn't come out of Joint Committee on Ways and Means, so it died. And I don't have any other additional legislative updates. Jennifer, I see that you're online. Did you have any?
Yeah, I'm
legislative-
actually, I'm listening to a session that they're doing ODOT wide right at the moment, and they're talking about the cuts that they're making and then also the changes. So our budget passed the legislature, or passed on Saturday. There were no significant cuts. So many of you might have seen that there was this non-motorized lawnmower money, gas money, that part of our STF, which turned into STIF, population for older adults and individuals with disabilities. I did learn on Friday that money was not going to be touched. So then we should not have a reduction in the older adults and individuals with disabilities. So at this point, there's a lot of moving pieces. Most of the stuff is highway side that they're moving the money around. Passenger rail was impacted on some. Safe routes to school was impacted. So there is kind of a little bit of breathing room until 2027, when the next legislative session happens and they try to make a more permanent fix for a broken system, which is the funding of transportation in Oregon. The other thing, I was pleased, I looked at the allocations this morning for the 5311, and it looks like Coos is going to get 656,889, which is about 100,000 more than what you guys got last year. So I was really pleased to see that. What they did do was do they looked at the allocations, the formula allocations, and looked at the rides and miles, and they did do some adjusting to make sure that the formula was more equitable. And so that is pleasant to hear. And then as far as nationally, we haven't really heard about, the transportation. It's always kind of up in the air. The last that I heard was that they don't see significant changes in the 2026-27 year. So we should be getting what we anticipate. And then we are getting ready to move right into the 27-29 solicitation, which kicks off. I'm actually going to have Melissa do some testing of the application for me so we can see if there are any glitches or things that she can suggest. So appreciate her time when we finally get it to her. Thought it was going to be there last week, but no. So that's what I know. I am listening in to hear more about the funding, and I'll keep you updated. At this point, the majority of the things that are impacted are highway. They are being able to allocate. They did pass legislation that allowed them to allocate unused funds from projects to maintenance and operations. So we shouldn't see a big reduction in maintenance and operations just by them being able to move money from projects that were specifically designed for highway projects are able to go to operations and maintenance. So that's a good thing. Any questions?
Doesn't look like it. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. So we do have some discretionary grants coming up. Vehicle replacement is an initial application is due on April 3rd, and the final application will be due May 29th. We'll be looking at doing one vehicle replacement under that application. The second application will be all other projects. And so we do not know yet when the initial application will be due, but sometime in April, and the final application will be due in June. So potentially, as we look at projects under application phase number 2, I am considering the new Powers pilot project with that volunteer driver, falling under application phase number 2. Any questions about the upcoming discretionary grants?
Is there getting the replacement bus, is that still a 2-year process? Takes
Yes.
quite a while.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Next update on RFP for the construction manager, general contractor. We did interview S&B and Partney on March 4th. And thank you to Director Stovenspike and Clausen for participating with myself and Crow Clay. And at the next meeting in April, we'll bring forward the recommendation from the committee. We're just doing some double checks on references. Any questions on construction manager, general contractor?
Doesn't look like it.
Also, at the April meeting, we'll bring forward the architecture and engineering contract. Update on the property. Stormwater on LeClaire and Newmark has been a continued dialogue between ourselves and the owner. On Friday, I acknowledged that, they've had a firm go out a couple times to cap the pipes, and they've done the best that they could. The fact of the matter is it's going to take some additional water mitigation efforts on anyone who purchases that property to dry it out for development. And so I extended a counter proposal to the owner, and we are waiting to hear what they say. Any questions on that?
Yes, are we basically, or at least hoping that the owner's gonna pick up all costs of doing that, right? And make it something that we don't have ongoing problems with?
The counter proposal is that we reduce the price and then we do it right to meet our needs.
Is there any legal action towards the party that was dumping the extra stuff that didn't belong there?
It doesn't sound like right now. It sounds like they did what they could, but because of the amount of water and the location of the property, some work needs to be done just to divert it to where we want it to go.
French
Correct.
drain type thing and that type of stuff.
I mean, if they didn't have those pipes, like if the other property went in and fully took those pipes out, there would still be water coming down onto the new property
Cause it's low.
because it's lower. Yep.
Okay, thanks, Shane.
So are we gonna do an estimate of how much it would cost us so that we know how much to reduce in price?
Yes, I had the conversation in order to come up with the reduced price amount.
So even this much, since we're not in executive session, I would say any further detail probably should be in an executive session discussion.
Excellent call.
I like having this on public record. And, you know, look, we need the owner to know that, you know, if we're buying the property for a lot of money, that we need a whole property.
So just as a reminder, Mike and Bill, I do need a certificate for your public meeting laws training. And
I think I've got a document that shows that I completed that in
awesome.
Last year. 25.
Awesome. Awesome. I look forward to taking a scan of that. And then Phil, what I can do is I can send you a link to get you all registered. Okay.
Which I keep forgetting about it.
That's I will also mention that we did have one staff person who this month, March, Susan Rogers. It's her 12th year anniversary with Coos County Area Transportation District. And then we also have Jean Gillette, who has a 5-year anniversary in March. So we're celebrating with them.
Yay. Good. Is that all it on your end, Melissa? It looks like it. Thank you very much, board. That moves us to item 8, which is citizen comments on non-agenda items and not on the budget. Do you have any public comments? Board, any comments? Wrap up the meeting. Thank you all. Disappointed in this legislative session, to say the least. We can talk about that soon. See no other comments. I'll close the public comment section. Board, I believe our next meeting is April 13th, not February 9th, but I think that's just me. Nothing further. I'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 9:25. Before we call over the budget.
Yeah.
Melissa, did you want me to just call you?
I don't know.
So Jane will be going into budget committee first.
Volunteer for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yes.
So if you wanna take money.
We'll talk about that.
I'll do it too. I love rainbows.
Yeah.
I've never done it, you know.
Oh, it's. He found at the library in his experience. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, Tony's gonna.
That's the most interesting spot to get on a bus.
I don't have any excuse. It basically comes to my house every hour.
Oh.
Every hour. Every hour.
In the meeting, we're done.
Well, the gas continues to go the way it is. Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah,
I've always been there the one time.
I did a survey as a college project.
But there's not.
And it was something that involved my little hometown of Selma.
You can't do it by the
Population.
number of people.
Thousand something. And
That's not gonna.
everybody in town, in college, I guess I was in my early 20s for
But
that.
I've been curious about the whole system.
And for most of my life, certainly for the time I started to go, everybody in town used to see where property was complained. But they really didn't bitch about it. But to make a phone call to Fresno, which was, you know, a 20-minute drive away, and which was a big population base and a shopping destination for sure. It cost, I forget what the exact number was, but 15 cents a call. It was technically a long distance call. And
The casinos.
and I proposed to the telephone company that and did a survey to prove that people would prefer to have their bill raised to a certain figure that could cover most of it, and it'd be an additional monthly charge of less than $1 to get rid of those long distance calls that nobody felt were really long distance. And the fact that, you know, one person project, you know, I was able to get that done. That people, the town had been complaining about, done nothing about.
Yeah, right there.
You know, more than a decade.
Don't have to have a motion.
You know,
You just go.
to see that you can make an impact.
That resting cost us a lot of time to get here.
It's made me,
Cause it was 88, remember?
you know.
That was like, it cost us like 2 months moving this building.
Watching the meetings before.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, so we just building. But we couldn't use it because that wasn't an AD resting, so we had to wait.
I didn't put up with Campfight City Hall.
There you go.
Yes, you can.
You can express your opinion. Okay.
It's okay, we get to talk about it. Melissa, are we ready on your end?
We are.
All right. Good morning again, everybody. The time being 9:30, I will now call this Coosa County Area Transportation District Budget Committee meeting to order. Melissa, will you please call the roll?
Director Thompson,
Here.
Director Beastie,
Present.
Director Johnson, Director Taylor.
Here.
Director Nelson,
Here.
Director Clausen.
Here.
Director Dovenspike,
Here.
Lauren Morris,
Here.
Karen Dubasar,
Here.
Danielle Clary,
I think she might have gone there. Here she is.
welcome Danielle,
Here.
Simon Alonso,
Here.
Jeremy Oliver, Raylee Cousins,
Here.
Tim Slater.
Here.
And we have a forum of the Budget Committee.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Our third item on our agenda today is elections of officers. We'll go through them one at a time. Board, do we have any nominations or motions for chairperson?
I'll nominate Doug.
I second Doug.
Okay, we have a nomination for chair. Any others? Do we have to vote if there's only one?
Justin doesn't spend.
Why don't you?
Or all in favor of Director Doug Vesey being chairperson of the budget committee, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Abstentions?
I abstain.
One abstention. We have a chairperson. Or do we have a nomination for secretary?
I nominate Lauren Morris.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second for secretary. One Morris, thank you. All in favor of the nomination, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Abstentions? With one abstention, thank you. We have officers. Turn it to Kirby's.
Okay, budget message. Melissa?
Thank
Sure you
you.
got the message.
I do have the message, and
do.
while I read the message into the public record, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share, hopefully. Documents. Oh, that's.
Hmm.
All right, so one moment. That was not it. Okay. Just not going to cooperate with me right now. Oh,
It says it's loading. It's hypothetical.
hold on.
Better version B.
Okay. I'm going to have you just follow along in your packet. I recommend looking at the top of your page says Form LB1 because it's a summary sheet before we go into the details. So to the Coos County Area Transportation District Board of Directors, members of the Budget Committee, patrons and citizens of the Coos County Area Transportation District. In accordance with Oregon law, as set forth in Chapter 294.305 to 294.565 over the Oregon Revised Statutes, CCAT has prepared and hereby presents its budget for the 26-27 fiscal year. Having been established in 2019 as a transportation district, as defined under ORS 267.510, Coos County Area Transportation District is celebrating 6 years operating as a district and 37 years of providing safe, efficient, and cost-effective public transportation services to the citizens of Coos County. The Coos County Area Transportation District's budget for 26-27 emphasizes strategic investments aimed at staff retention and stabilization, recognizing the critical role of well-supported personnel in delivering high-quality transportation services. Additionally, the budget allocates resources for essential infrastructure improvements, ensuring that transportation system remains reliable and accessible. This comprehensive approach not only addresses immediate staffing needs, but also reinforces the district's commitment to focusing on core services, ultimately enhancing the overall quality and reliability of public transportation in the region. The proposed budget is organized into two funds, the general fund and the transit hub fund. The proposed budget recommendations for all funds and accounts total $9.4 million, which include $1.9 million for public transit operations, $700,000 unallocated requirements, $2.9 million for the transit hub, and $3.9 million unappropriated reserve. In response to ongoing funding uncertainties at both the state and federal levels, the district is proposing to discontinue Coos Go South, abandon Myrtle Point demand response service, reducing intercity connection between Coos Bay and Myrtle Point from 3 times a day to twice a day, and discontinuing the Powers Weekly Shopper in the hopes of a volunteer driver will emerge from the local community who can drive a CCAT van. The proposed changes reflect the challenges faced by local transit authorities in Oregon to maintain transit services amid rising cost pressures and no long-term funding solution. The budget process. The budget process begins in February of each year with a review of current programs and service levels. This is followed by a determination of staffing levels necessary to provide the anticipated bus operations. Worksheets that are used to develop the budget are then updated to reflect anticipated staffing levels and payroll-related cost changes, including anticipated compensation increases and changes in employee benefits, including but not limited to insurance premiums. The proposed budget is submitted to the Budget Committee. The Budget Committee is composed of 7 members of the district's board of directors and a like number of lay members as prescribed in Oregon budget law. All the lay members are volunteer members of the community, the only requirement being that they reside within the district's boundaries. The function of the Budget Committee is that of review with specific emphasis placed on the role of the lay members in providing input from the public into the process. The Budget Committee meets as many times as necessary to review, make recommend modifications, and approve the proposed budget. Historically, the committee meets once to receive the budget along with the management's overview of significant changes from the prior year and to ask specific questions. Questions from the general public are both welcomed and encouraged during these meetings. Once the committee members are satisfied with the budget, they approve it and recommend it to the CCAT Board of Directors for adoption. Finally, the budget moves into the approval and adoption phase prior to July 1, the beginning of the new fiscal year. The Board of Directors holds a budget hearing for the purposes of receiving public comment, adopting the budget, and making appropriations. At any time prior to adoption, the board has the ability to make modifications to the approved budget within the limits set forth in Oregon budget law. Of course, the budget process does not end with the adoption of the budget. Unforeseen changes can occur throughout the course of the fiscal year, some of which require modifications through the supplemental budget process. The Board of Directors can approve most of the small modifications by resolution during their monthly meetings, whereas larger changes require public hearings to be held prior to the adoption of the resolution. So with that, I will successfully go over the resources page and share it. It's working on it. Do you see it?
No,
Not yet.
it just says Melissa has started sharing her screen.
He's You see it now?
Nope.
Wow, it's really slow today.
There we go. We can see it now.
Awesome.
You might just, do you zoom in at all?
Yeah, I can. How's that? Bigger?
Yeah, no, that was good. That's good.
Okay.
you.
You're welcome. So, our beginning working capital, we are estimating July 1 will be have 1.8 million. And then we are anticipating our normal grants 5310, which is purchase services, mobility management. 5311 covers our admin operations and preventative maintenance. We're expecting the Rural Veteran Health Transportation Grant. That's one that we have submitted, but we have not yet heard the award level. That's on line 8. Then formula and discretionary, we have $1 million. The Hopewell tribe, they support the Florence route annually, 17,500. Miscellaneous grants, I'm anticipating 343,000. That is any foundations grants and other energy grants, etc., that we are currently pending, or that I am anticipating requesting that may translate to revenue this next fiscal year. Fairs estimating 100,000, local funds 40,000, and miscellaneous 108,000. Total anticipated revenue 2.3. Then,
Melissa?
Yeah.
Number 10, I think, is CT Lucy.
oh, you are correct. My apologies. Moving to the requirements. How's the size on your end? You need it bigger?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. All right, so with respect to salaries, and I'm expecting 661,000, benefits and OPE 270,000. Total FTEs is 12.5. That is in comparison to our current 14.5 FTE. So that is a reduction in 2 FTE. And this does include, we did some compensation studies. And so we did some adjustments with respect to salaries. An average salary increase is anticipated at $3 an hour. And this also includes health benefits so that we can support our staff in being healthy so that they can provision services. Materials and services. And keeping in mind that when we're looking at last year's compared to this year's, when we're comparing next year's, column F, to information related to our adopted budget, column C, as well as E and F, C, D, and E. These columns include some of the initial consulting work that supports the transit hub. And in the 26-27 budget, we have split that out. And so it's in its own fund. So when you're comparing, you'll notice that operating overhead, 177, and it's pretty close to the 170, 176. When you get down to other consulting, right, we have 290 projected year end in other consulting here on line 17. And whereas there is no other consulting in 26-27, that's because it's rolled to the transit hub. No big changes really here. With respect to materials and services requirements, with the exception of that one that I called out to highlight. Since this is our first year of having two funds, we do have a line item. This is the general fund, but it's not allocated to the unit of public transit. This is not allocated. And that's because we have some funds currently in our reserve in the general fund that we will likely need to transfer to the transit hub special revenue fund. So that line item is represented here. And also we have our operating contingency is again not allocated to the unit of public transit because the nature is contingency. So if we needed to call on our contingency, then it would then come to that public transit. So our new fund, our Transit Hub Special Revenue Fund. So we have some grants that are specific to the development of the architecture and engineering, as well as the beginning phases of construction, again, earmarked for that transit hub. And that's what you see here. And then we have our requirements of materials and services, personnel, capital, and then contingency, all associated with this construction project. Let's see. So are there any questions that I can answer on any of the line items?
Well, I have a question. What is the approximate cost for the transportation powers for the 1 day a week?
So, one moment, and I think I have that handy.
Thank you.
So annually, that is, I would say 19,000.
So in our budget of $umpteen million, we're gonna eliminate the Powers bus for $19,000?
Well, it really goes to staffing. So when I cut back on the staffing, because we need to contain our labor costs, I don't have the staff to run it.
So, but you have the ability to run it with a volunteer. If we could come up with a volunteer, you're saying,
Right,
that
right.
could pass all the CCAT requirements to be a
Right,
volunteer
and-
driver. We could afford it,
Correct.
the gas and whatever have you, the maintenance and.
And that's
But-
why in the budget message, I indicated that we would move forward with the pilot,
With the what?
with that pilot project.
Okay, we're gonna,
I think it's a great idea, but I don't like it at all. I want a paid driver to drive to Powers. We need to find the money in the reserve someplace. Because every driver is just as important as every other driver. And to get a quote volunteer versus a real driver,
no, we have.
we can't afford to do that.
We have
to provide-
100,000 in the contingency fund or whatever.
We gotta have 19,000 to pay to
Oh,
take care of something.
Can I, Melissa, does that 19,000 you mentioned, does that include staff time?
Or is it only staff?
So that is fully allocated costs. So it does include staff time, it includes the overhead and such. It's when I reduce staff by 2 FTE, right, then I reduce my capacity to have individuals in multiple places.
Well, I mean, and just to clarify, wow, just for everybody else, and Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong, the $19,000 cut is what's allocated to that specific route, but you can't just find someone to only come in and do just that route. I mean, it would be a
Right.
mess. It really is a bigger hit to the budget if you were to add it back.
Right.
I think there's nothing wrong with having a volunteer driver. It's an opportunity for somebody in the community to step up and use a talent that can help all his local citizens. It's an opportunity. And I like the idea.
How would we go about finding one?
I think that
We talk, probably go to a council meeting and post something and maybe somebody from the board should go over and have a conversation.
I think
I think it's very doable.
my only concern with the volunteer side is the reliability, because typically, when you have a volunteer, they've got lives and the places they've got to be, which makes it difficult.
I agree with that, but part of getting a community member to step up is a commitment.
As a volunteer bus driver for 15 years, when I stopped driving, the program died. So I know what you're looking for. I've been there, I've done that, but I think we need to step up and pay. Huh?
And you live in that general area?
I did. I don't, I live in Coos Bay,
Oh, yeah.
but I think we need to figure it out and provide funding for that. I would never vote to not provide that bus. I could be the only one in Karen, but that's just my opinion and we can move on.
I don't really wanna see that lost either, but looks like ridership seems to only be like one person. But my question has been, how come it's dwindled down to one person? It seems to always revolve around the housing authority. And CCAT is a community, so, I have really mixed feelings. I mean, the business side of me says one person, but at the same time, to get that service back going would be like almost. And I'm, Melissa and she's talked to me a little bit about, working, to get this pilot, but I haven't seen a proposal, and my concerns are the same as Simon. The liability of it, the Powers Highway, having grown up in that area, is not a highway to be messing around with. I mean, that's just my take. I would prefer not to cut it. I'm with Doug. I just feel like the cost of trying to get it back. I mean, maybe we could reduce it to maybe
I think we need to make,
every other week or something, or maybe look for a driver in that area. I don't know.
I
Is there
think
a
we
way-
need to make Powers aware that due to lack of use, we're potentially closing that route. So they need to utilize that opportunity, or there won't be that opportunity. They need to be aware that this is up for consideration, even though I'd never vote for it. But they need to understand that if you're not using the service, we can't provide the service.
Melissa,
Or-
please correct me if this is something way out of realm of what we would normally do, but is there a possibility to establish like a cab fund for specifically for Powers where we could, maybe allocate some dollars through like a third party transportation to serve the community, but also serve our budget?
Yes, I mean, there are business designs that can accommodate using a third party taxi service. That this taxi service needs to, there's of course a set of regulations, right?
Mhm.
That the taxi service would need to meet to provision the service. But that is an option.
I think an
Question
option.
back here? We got a question back here.
No, I was just gonna say, I agree with, I don't agree with the volunteer service. I don't think that's a good route. I think regular service of any type, I think that's the key, just generally speaking, and there's some regular service once a week. This time advertising about that, whatever that might be. I think in general, that's a good way to go, regular service of whatever type is offered, but Powers should be included. And it should be not a volunteer position, in my opinion.
Well, and maybe we could do, a regular a regular service with a cab company, such as, the cab company taking a van that could, take 5 people. If our ridership is typically 1, we could set up a regular service where one of the cab companies goes there and is able to take up to 5 people. So we don't have a huge budget impact, but we also maintain the service level.
I mean, the average for when we go out once a week, it's 1 or 2 individuals that we're providing a ride in. So it would be, I mean, at the current level, even a normal vehicle could accommodate. And then, should there be an ADA request, then that might be more challenging for a taxi service.
I think one
Tim,
aspect that Doug brought up is important, that the community then supports the service and actually wants to use it and have it on a regular basis. Now, having said that, I think there's one issue with volunteer that floats in here, and that being, of course, you get a qualified person that wants to do that, can be responsible for the things, but we're talking about the vehicle's quality, its maintenance, where it is, where do I need to put it, what's going on. So I guess from that said, we have a lot of people that actually are former truck drivers and aren't CDLs. And that's that if you had one person that you ended up, we hire you for 1 day and you're in charge of this particular thing, and they show up, they take care of it, do the problem with the volunteer. You may not be responsible for what your equipment is or how it goes.
Here, I have a point of order. I think we are in full discussion right now. Melissa, are you done with the budget message? Because I think we're in full discussion right now and we still have comments
Yeah.
from the public that we need to read. And I think, I mean, I love the conversations. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I think we got a little ahead of ourselves before we let Melissa.
Sorry, Melissa.
It's okay.
Do you have more to share in your budget message?
I'm looking through to see if there is anything else I wanted to highlight. In your budget, there is a schedule for vehicle replacement. That is a new feature in our packet. And then I've provided the planned revenue miles is for the 26-27 is 244 compared to what we're projecting at year end is 268,000. The revenue hours 15.9 thousand compared to the current year of 17.2. And then the boardings projection 61,800 compared to the current year of 63,510. And that's with those curtailments and proposed discontinuance of services. That's the message. You may proceed with your discussion.
Public comment.
Okay, Harper, I'm gonna pass this on you. You got a message from a young person or
Melissa and I received an email with a public comment from a constituent who wished their letter to be read in the public record. As always, for anybody, I will do that. Thanks for giving me a couple minutes. Hello, my name is Amanda Johnson, and I am writing to express my concern about the potential reduction in transit services in Coos County. I was born and raised in Coos Bay and have lived in Coos County most of my life. I recognize that in rural communities, transportation systems operate very differently than they do in large cities. Distances are longer, services are spread further apart, and many residents do not have practical alternatives if transit becomes unavailable. When service is reduced here, the impact is immediate and significant for people who rely on it to get to work, attend medical appointments, access basic services, and remain connected to their communities. Rural areas are often asked to absorb cuts first because our population numbers are smaller, but smaller populations should not mean smaller consideration. Residents of rural communities contribute to the state and deserve equitable access to essential infrastructure, including transportation. Transportation access should not depend on whether someone lives in an urban area versus rural counties. That's what it said. And decisions about service reduction should recognize the inequity of state level decisions that have repeatedly not given citizens of rural communities the same weight and considerations as those who live in metropolitan areas. When transit is reduced in communities like Coos County, and especially for the more rural locations like Powers, Myrtle Point, the consequences are not the minor inconveniences for some residents. It means losing access to employment, healthcare, education, or community participation. I ask that decision makers consider the disproportionate impacts these reductions have on rural residents and prioritize maintaining stable and reliable transit service in our region. It's time we stand up for Coos County and demand a budget that doesn't sacrifice our needs. Thank you for your time in considering the needs of the communities that rely on these services, however small they may be. Amanda Johnson. Thank you, Amanda. Chair, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
Thanks. Do we have any other public who want to make a comment in our public comment session? Before we get into the discussion of the budget. Okay. In front of us is transportation information. Any comments in regards to the budget? First, go ahead. Any volunteers who want to comment?
Melissa, I think I asked this
Hello,
last.
everybody. My name is Ryan Smith.
All right.
Go ahead, Ryan. Chair recognized Ryan Smith.
Hey. Hey, Melissa. You're looking good today.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Ryan.
You're on mute.
Bye, you baddies.
Hi, Ryan. Go ahead.
I think this person is trying to disrupt the meeting.
Okay, that's easy to take care of. Have a good day. Any other person interested in making a comment in regards to the budget? Well, in my opinion, I'd like to see us find some money for the transportation of people to Powers. If it's $41,000 approximately. I had it on my paper, got lost in the paper. I think we need to find that in reserve. And we need to advertise to the people of Powers that there's a potential elimination of your service. You need to be aware that we're gonna do this, wouldn't take place until July 1, but they need to be aware. And we're looking for an opportunity to provide transportation, but you need to take advantage of the transportation. Or there's a potential lack of opportunity. That's my opinion. Anyone else got any comments about the budget?
I have two comments. One, first off, Melissa, thank you for doing that study on the wages. I like to see that we have increased the wages because it's difficult to find workforce and we have to be competitive. So I really like to see that. It is a large increase, but I think it's important. As far as the Powers one, it sounds like that's a big sticking point, and I agree. I think that as the district, it's our responsibility to serve the whole district. But that said, I really, with the budget implications, I think that exploring that that model that I was mentioning, where we potentially contract with someone. I was just doing some quick math, and if you're paying $150 per trip to a cab company, I don't know how much it is. That's like sub $8,000 a year. So and I understand that doesn't take into consideration of the the ADA accessibility, but we may be able to slip in a smaller amount that way. That'd be my only comments.
I think that's an excellent idea. I just want to provide the transportation. If it's a cab company, if it's a small bus that we can let them use our bus, I'm for it. But I want the person to be paid to provide the transportation.
I think that we could ask around. There are some cab companies that do have a larger van or something that might accommodate some disabilities, if not all of them. So we might be able to choose a cab company that could accommodate us the best until we could refund.
Well, maybe we should form a board committee of two to pursue those ideas.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good idea.
And
However, the budget-
maybe we come up with concrete proposals, not just we should do it, so let's do it.
I feel like that would work in the same vein of us like forming a committee to bring back the Roseburg route, or to have people at least look into it.
For costs.
Well, I think it dovetails with what we're trying to do is to raise more funds anyway. So we're going to be meeting as a whole, as a committee to try to raise more funds through other measures. And was it with Julie Brown and and her ideas, and you know, just different ways of being able to
And
come up with more revenue.
There might very well be a business over in that area that would be willing to subscribe for.
They may sponsor it.
Pay for, with that?
Yeah, they may sponsor
Yes,
their drive.
yes, yes.
That'd be good.
Well, the housing authority does pay for the tenant. We provide the bus. We do pay for that. And if we were to do a check, we would continue to pay for our, as long as it wasn't exceedingly expensive, we could continue to pay, for their membership.
I am aware of a business that was seeking to buy some space that they needed a zoning change to come in there, and they might very well be as part of a package. The opportunity to show that they're a good citizen for the area, to say, hey, we could with the approval for these changes, we could subscribe or take care of the cost of that service to the community. I think it's a saleable point.
You want to be part of this committee too?
I guess I'm sticking.
That and Simon.
I guess I am sticking my
Maybe
hand
Simon
out.
wants it, and he's in.
Yeah, with the two of you, I think we could come up with
Yeah.
something that could
But what is that?
work well.
We need to include something in the budget before. We can't just say, oh, we're gonna get a committee put together and hope that whatever. We need to approve the funds before we get someone to take and pay for the funds. So if we get Billy Bob to pay for the funds, but we gotta have it in our budget saying, we're gonna provide the funds, and then if Billy Bob picks up the tab, we're good with that.
Well, I don't know that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Melissa, but I don't know that we would want to allocate the number, because then if we go and look for a bid, then we've kind of put out there what we're willing to spend. So I don't know.
Well, we just need to know the cost, Simon.
What was that?
We just need to know how much the cost is.
Yeah.
For the proposed. I get what you're saying. They'll bid with exactly what we want.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
When it comes to down the road, in May, when the board of directors appropriates the funds, they'll be appropriating it to the transit operations program. And so in the event we exceeded or were projected to exceed that appropriation, and it was the amount of that additional powers expense, then you could move, the board of directors could then move by resolution money from the contingency to the transit program.
Good point. So if they think they're gonna give us more money than we anticipated, we can use the extra money to provide service to Powers. Any other questions in regards to the budget?
Melissa, I think I asked this last budget cycle. We have $40,000 on line 15 in local funds. Could you just give a brief explanation on what local funds means for people who in the community who may not know?
Yeah, local funds are funds that we get like from cities. It's that type of funds that we anticipate.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure we earmark funding towards the Powers thing in case we don't get that extra funding from the state or federal that promise us stuff.
So that's the contingency that we could decide on as a board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to deciding on it. So,
cities are, I think it's this time of year that they're, anticipating getting money from the state that is, revenue sharing from, the amount of alcohol
Yeah.
money. You know, that could be a major deal, that cities have the ability to spend however they kind of want. And in the past, some cities, at least Bands, has given their money to CCAT for their efforts in the city. I think it's a saleable thing to a city council in Powers, as it could be in any and all communities in the county.
That's a good point.
It should have to make the city of Powers aware.
With that comment is, have we notified the city of Powers that this route possibly is going away?
No,
Or
yeah, I don't think so.
does the city of Powers do anything to promote your routes? I mean, your only stop is the housing authority property up there? Is there other stops? Is there signage up there? I mean, I travel to Powers and I couldn't tell you if I've seen a CCAT bus stop sign.
We don't have a sign in Powers. It's been really picking up at the housing authority. And then if we have a paratransit ride, we make that accommodation.
Didn't you guys used to have a bus stop other than the housing authority in Powers? Wasn't it somewhere by the county park?
At one time we did have a park. We kept a vehicle in Powers. And so I think it was in conjunction with where we were parking the vehicle. That was a few years ago.
Well, I think this is technically related. We need better signage in Powers so they know there's a bus that's gonna come someplace. If they don't know there's a bus,
yeah,
we're not cutting their service when they don't even know about the service.
could there just be a bus stop on the way to the housing authority or wherever that is, you know? And
It'd be
just
nice to have
somewhere
a
along the way.
CCAT bus sign there, so they knew, oh, that'll give me a ride to Coos Bay if I want. So I think we definitely need a signage up there. Signage is everything. Without signage,
Or at least a ride to Myrtle Point to connect with
right?
another bus, if that could be something that could work, that might not cost so much money.
If they're going the same day.
Yeah, well, to me, it would make sense to make sure that they
Yeah.
somehow connect up.
2 times a week to Myrtle Point, isn't
Yeah.
it 2 times now? Yeah.
I don't know, if I'm just throwing that out there, that maybe that might be a way to shorten the route.
Right. And so they could connect at Myrtle Point in the morning. And then and I think it's early, as I recall, it's like 7:45 a.m. that they leave Myrtle Point, that we're looking at next year. And then they would get back to Myrtle Point. It would be right around 6 p.m.
So the question I have, is this questions for the budget committee or is this for the transportation committee? Is that us, the members, or is it, do we transfer, if we approve this budget, do we then bring it up in front of us in the next board meeting with these ideas?
So what we can do is we could utilize the contingency line, right, for that funding. And so between now and July 1, we could approve it today the board could amend the budget clear up and through May, right? When we have the hearing. So before we could have the hearing and the board could amend it at that time before they adopt, right? So there's lots of options. And when it comes to programming, why don't I do up a couple scenarios?
Okay.
Okay.
So do we have a,
I'm just gonna put out the caveat though. My recommendation to the board was to reduce the service because I am concerned about cash flow and funding uncertainties. I just want it on the record that I do
Yeah.
have concerns about cash flow and funding uncertainties.
I 100% support you. We
Thank you.
need to advertise better. We need a sign up there so they know it's available. But do we have any motions on the floor in regards to approving the proposed budget for the 26-27 fiscal year?
Sure, I'd make a motion to approve the proposed budget for the 2026 to 2027 fiscal year.
We're gonna approve. And we have a second?
Second.
Was that you,
It
Simon?
was a tie.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. It's been moved in second. Any discussion? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, everybody, for those conversations. I think the one thing that I really want to say in this time is that we are having these really interesting conversations for the complete lack of effort of our state legislature. I watched this entire session and I have to say I've never been more disappointed. I have connected with so many of our local reps, our local senators, and people from across the state in the majority who have wield the power, and it's despicable. It's disgusting that they won't even take up the issue. They won't even try when those are the most vulnerable members of our community. And I said that in my testimony. Thank you, Melissa, for the testimony you submitted on behalf of the district. Dr. Johnson isn't here, but I also read hers, and I wanted to put that on the record that the state of Oregon should be frankly ashamed. Our state legislators should be ashamed because there's no way that we should have gone through this session. They wouldn't even have the conversation about long-term state transit funding. And I'm worked up, as you can tell, so frustrated. And I think everybody in this room and everybody in this community and across the state who cares about transit needs to be contacting your representatives and your legislators, because 2026 is right around the bend. Or 2027, I mean. But I don't have full confidence that they'll have anything to bring to the table at that point either. So those are my comments, and I support this budget and I support our staff. So thank you, LB and I vote.
Okay, any other comments? We got a motion and a second to approve the proposed budget for 26-27 fiscal year. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Passes. Adjourn. There we go. Nice job.
Thank you.